Oops.
Hi, folks.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Sibel.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Isabel.
Good, thank you. How's everybody?
Pretty good, thanks. All right.
I have to say, you guys are awesome. You know, you started the Zoom meetings before even the big town of Orleans ZBA did.
Ooh,
They just started their meetings a month ago, if you could believe it.
yeah, I think our planning board might just be starting them now. I'm not sure. Haven't had any recently. Okay, where's our commit? Well, our commit still have 4 minutes, but I want to make sure our commissioners have the link. I mean, we'll send. But. Okay. Oop, we have a couple more. We have Carol, Briaco. Welcome, Carol.
Hi, lady.
Hi. Is Dawn iPad, is that Don Rickman or Donna Rickman? McNarrow. We need one more.
Yes, it's us. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Nice to.
It's my mom's iPad and I don't know how to use the darn thing.
Okay. Well, join the club.
Okay, thanks.
I'll just put Dawn and Donna. Rickman. This way our secretary knows who's here.
Okay.
And we have 3 historical commission members. I know that Tom Stigio will be joining us. You can only stay for the first hour. And I believe,
Who's that say? On and on.
yeah, here's Tom. So that's good timing.
Hey, lady.
Hey there, Tom. Peter McMahon will also be joining us.
Oh, good.
And Not sure about Luke Manning. Just a public service announcement. We are looking for members, so. Once we start screen sharing, it's hard for me to see who's in the waiting room, so we have to wait till at least, 5 o'clock. Here's 5 o'clock now. Meryl, do you have the agenda in front of you?
I do.
Okay, there you are, great.
We don't yet have a quorum though, right? Don't we
We
need
do.
4?
We have 4. There's
We do?
Carol, Tom, Lydia, and you. 4.
Oh, yes, that's true. I can't count. All right. Would you like to start since we have a quorum and it's time?
I think so. We
Okay.
don't have Peter yet, so we are waiting for Peter McMahon. And since
Hmm.
the Colony Project is the first on the agenda, I want to make sure that there he is. Okay,
Okay.
very good. So I do want to, hopefully I can do this more easily, the screen sharing. I still haven't quite mastered it.
Yeah.
So anybody have any tips? Tips?
You're our expert, Lydia.
Oh my gosh, let's
So
see.
sorry. So the way Lydia and I have been doing this is that I've been kind of running through the agenda and she's been managing the tech component. And I assume we're going to do it that way as well today. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the first item on our agenda is 640 Chequesset Neck Road. And Sibel, I assume you're going to present about that.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi again. Thank you for looking at our renovation and the revisions that we are proposing. So since our last meeting when you approved our design, Jeffrey and Mihai wanted to make some changes. In essence, the design that we presented to you previously has not changed. So in terms of the style, the aesthetics, the materials, especially from what you see from Chequesset Neck Road, is going to remain as you approved, with slight variations in terms of the window placements. But the concept is, I would say, unchanged from the time when you saw it last. The areas that we did change has to do with what's going on behind the wall, where the art wall is facing Chequesset. So that space currently is an outdoor courtyard. And we had kept it as such when you last saw it. But what Jeffrey would like to do, and Mihai, and they're also here with us, so if you have any questions for them directly, please feel free to ask them. But what they wish to do is take that exterior courtyard and convert it into an interior space. So the wall of glass that we had proposed before gets pushed out to the limit of that existing stucco wall. So that wall, as you may remember, on the street side, there's artwork, and then on the opposite side from the street, there is a fresco. So that will be kept as it is, but it just will be in an interior space that's conditioned rather than exterior, with a roof over it and sliding glass doors. In addition to that change, what we did is in the back of the building, previously we had like a stepped up element on the ground floor. So we eliminated that. We made the geometry simpler in the addition part, but we did pop out the dining room. So as it is right now, in front of the dining room is a deck in the rear of the building. So it's just a deck and it has these angled posts and beams. So what we're proposing to do is not from the street view, but again at the rear. Jeffrey and Mihai would like to make that an interior space. So we will use the existing footprint, but on the ground floor, it will be open air, so it won't be enclosed. But just on the upper level, which is the street level, that will be an enclosed space just to make the dining room larger. So other than those two areas of changes, and just, you know, some dimensional changes from what you saw before slightly, that's what we have basically are proposing for your review and approval.
Thank you.
So if you have any questions from here on, please.
Well, I have a question. Lydia, I can't see the diagram. Did you mean to have it up?
No, yeah, I thought we'd listen to Sibel first.
Oh, okay.
We could go, I know that these are all planned, right?
Okay,
Oh, here we go.
exactly. That's a good one to see, the front elevation.
So Peter, do you want to? Peter, do you have any questions? Or I know there might be some concerns about the drawings. Maybe Peter's muted, let's check.
Mute. Yes, he's on mute.
Okay, so Peter, you can unmute yourself. I think you do it by pressing
yeah.
the space
Oh, yeah. Can
bar
you hear
or
me?
clicking.
Yes, can hear you now.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
It's a little hard to tell from the drawings. I mean, it would be nice to have existing conditions plans because it's a little hard to read, you know, I see there's a hatched area, meaning existing to remain,
Mhm.
but there isn't really an indication for existing to be subsumed. So,
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm sorry, I didn't submit the existing plans and elevations again since I had submitted it before. I'm sorry, I should have then sent that as well.
yeah,
think-
so it's just a little, you know, it's a little hard to read exactly what's going on, but I understand that you're enclosing that outdoor space where the fresco is, and that's becoming part of it, and you're pushing out the dining. So I had a question about where you're pushing out the dining. There's that structure underneath which is original, the post that holds up the patio now.
Mhm.
Is that strong enough to hold up the new construction with walls and roof and everything?
No, structurally speaking, we have to redo that, but we will do it in the same fashion as the design is right now. But structurally speaking, it's going to have to be beefed up.
Well, I mean, I guess my main comments are from a preservation point of view.
Mhm.
That is a very nice feature, which is basically being lost. I mean, it'll be totally rebuilt, but it will be completely new, and the only thing that will remain will be the shape of the structure underneath. And I guess the same with that outdoor patio. It's an important feature. So strictly from a preservation point of view, these are two features that are part of the structure which will be lost. Yeah, I guess that's my, and the other thing is that the drawings are so, you know, they're just line drawings. There's no renderings of any kind indicating colors or material or shadows or a 3D or anything that would give you kind of a sense of the impact of the whole building. So, you know, the drawing, it's just really hard from I mean, it's hard to give too much of an opinion because so much of the building retaining its personality has to do with the details of how this is executed. It could be nice, it could be very clunky, and it all really depends on the windows. And you know, I know that this is a very hard thing, but I mean, generally, it's a hard thing to evaluate. But for me to really give an opinion beyond that it seems like there's two important features that are being lost, is that I would just need more visual information on what was actually being proposed.
So if I may, through the chair,
Mm-hmm.
Peter, in terms of what you were speaking of, the presentation and the materials, so it's the same kind of presentation as what was done previously. And in terms of materials, and since we met also at the site, so we went through the materials and trying to replicate what's there by using, you know, marine grade plywood, et cetera, the colors, et cetera, to try to imitate what's there. So in terms of the presentation, it's no different than what I did present to you previously. I appreciate, you know, the fact that right now we are touching two areas that we didn't before. So I could appreciate your comment for that. But in terms of the posts underneath that area that's going to be now an interior space, we are going to basically replicate what's there. In material wise, yes, it's true that it's going to be replaced. But what you're going to end up seeing is basically the same concept, the same material, you know, nature. And the other side, where we're enclosing that outdoor courtyard space, that won't ever be visually seen from the street. But obviously you will see no longer the trellis work from the side. You will not see a lot of the, you won't see, for instance, you know, that it's open air with the landscaping covering all that area. There's a huge wisteria growing on that side. So it is true that some of those things are going to change. But one of the areas that I did discuss with Jeffrey and Mihei to quite a lot of extent, is that we need to preserve that wall. And in order to make that wall an interior space, we have to really protect it when we excavate and do foundation work underneath, and even, you know, the finished product. So they understand very well that it's going to cost them a good amount of money to preserve that wall and make sure that it's not damaged at all. And they really, you know, wish to keep the historical aspect of it, but they really feel that not only would it make it sense in terms of their use of the house from the inside to have one larger space for living room, but at the same time, they feel that it would protect the fresco better because it's really fading away right now. And having a roof cover over it in a conditioned space, they felt that it would actually preserve it. And maybe Jeffrey, if you're there, would you like to say some things in terms of how you wish to use that space? Maybe he's muted too.
Yeah,
Lydia, can you unmute Jeffrey?
I think he has to do it himself.
Oh,
Wait, let me see. I'll press unmute and see what, nothing
Yes.
seems to happen. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Great. Yeah, I think Isabella is absolutely right. We would like to do whatever we can to try and preserve the fresco on the what's now the patio side of that wall, and making it an interior living space seemed like an intelligent way to go ahead and do that, especially because it really doesn't change the what's visible from the street side. In terms of the deck, we've already established that the wood sort of cantilevers underneath are going bad, need to be replaced anyway, and so there's a lot of work there to try and make that remain true to the existing architecture. And Sibel's working on doing that in a way that'll give us a usable space on the main level to expand the dining area. Right now, we really don't have much of an opportunity to use that balcony. So that's what we're looking to do, is optimize the usable space in the home. Over.
So the size of the two-story addition is the same as previously
In terms of height, it's the
in
same
terms of
as,
square footage, or?
in terms of square footage, it's more or less the same, but it's a little bit different in the way that it's configured. It doesn't have all those jogs in the back.
So you're adding basically more square footage by taking presently exterior space. But how much square footage are you adding with the new construction, and how much, or like, well, what's the difference in this and the last time you proposed it, square footage wise?
I don't have the exact number to give you right now, but I could provide that information.
Mhm.
So for instance, I could give you like the overall dimension. So previously what you approved, the addition in the back, the overall dimension was 27'3" by 26. And the proposed one is 26'6" by 26'6". So the overall dimension didn't really change, but the jogs are a little bit different. So the major part that adds to the square feet is that addition of the dining room and making that outdoor courtyard space into an interior space.
Mhm.
And the height, the scale of that back portion, I didn't want to make it larger in comparison to the existing structure, so that remained the same. So from what I was looking at, I thought that you and that the board would, the commission would look in favor of this, because in terms of the view from the street, it hasn't changed much from what you have seen previously and approved, including the materials, the colors, as we discussed, and whatever was approved previously is going to remain as is. The area that really I thought you would, have a concern over, perhaps, as I hear you are, having a concern over, is making that outdoor courtyard space into an interior living room space. So I could understand, you having to think about that aspect of our proposal right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think equally the projecting thing on the back, the enclosing the patio
Sure.
or the deck. Yeah, I mean, those are really my comments. I mean, it would be great to have drawings that had more information on them, like if part of the approved proposal is documenting what the materials are and what the colors are, and then it would be good to have that on the drawings so that it isn't relying on people's memory.
Mhm.
and, you know, some information on what kind of windows they are, and windows are very important. Just as far as the, I mean, it's just, it just would be good to have more information.
Do I understand correctly that the exterior courtyard is, it's going to have a roof over it? It's going to extend over the fresco? Is that what you're saying? Because I can't tell that from this.
The fresco will be totally interior on the inside of the space, not in an exterior courtyard.
So, but the roof line will come over the fresco?
Yes,
But there is presently a roof over it,
Mhm.
right?
there is presently a metal roof on part of it, and then the trellis work.
Oh yeah, right. So it's a corrugated, it's just a corrugated
Correct,
sort of sheltering. Yeah.
correct.
Maybe I'd suggest a rendering, a drawing, you know, a rendered drawing, and or a photograph of the spaces that you could draw on top of, to make it clearer.
Okay, so like a 3D rendering?
I think
Or
so.
color.
I think that's reasonable, and we do meet next, you know, at the beginning of November. There's a chance we could meet a second time in October if you're pressed for time. But I think we're so lucky to have Peter as an expert in these matters, so I feel really comfortable with what he's asking.
I'm also concerned, of course, there's been a lot written about the buildings in that colony being sold off one at a time. And I think a lot of the decisions that we make with this will have impact on what follows. So it's kind of important.
I think from what I would love to see is existing condition plans and elevations, which I think you had last time.
Correct.
You had, at least you had elevations existing. And the proposed with some kind of, you know, when you're just looking at a line drawing of an elevation, it just looks, you know, the fact that that deck is enclosed just looks like, you know, completely flat. But in effect, you're making a big projection sticking out from that building, which is not there now, which is going to create shadows. And I mean, there's a deck sticking out, but anyway, it's a, you know, it's a significant change. So just drawings that in some way show the existing and the proposed, and more detail, I'd say shadows, colors, materials, vegetation, just like you know, some more visual information.
Okay. And also comparison of what you approved previously compared to what we're proposing now?
It couldn't hurt, existing, previously approved, and presently proposed.
Okay. Well, I know that
Can you
Jeff.
explain a little bit better, Peter, about this issue with shadows? Because currently the space is enclosed, even though it's an open space.
No, I mean the deck, the projecting deck off the dining area. That's what I was talking about.
And shadows over what?
Well, that's, right now that's the deck. That's just a thin floor with a railing around it. And what you're proposing is a chunk of the building coming out. You know, it's a, right now you perceive that building as pretty much a flat plane, you know, and this is a projection out from that plane. So it's a kind of a, you know, it's a significant alteration. You know, it's a 3D volume sticking off the building instead of just a deck. I mean, yeah. So
I mean, yeah, okay. There's not much around it other than some beds of ivy. So I'm just wondering what the purpose is of explaining the shadows.
well, it's very hard to read an elevation with no shadows because you're just looking at lines.
Yeah,
So
most of-
there's, there's overhangs, there's the eaves, create shadows. It's
I
just
mean,
becomes starting
let's
to-
say tomorrow I put up an awning over that space, right? How would the shadows be different?
I don't mean as far as living in the building. I mean, as far as perceiving what you're proposing. In other words, I don't think the shadow is going to bother anyone in real life. It's just that it's hard to evaluate the drawing because just as a line drawing, it's just a sort of a diagram without depth. That's what I mean. Just as far as reading what's being proposed.
Okay.
So should we, Meryl, do you think we should have a motion to continue this or just all consensus to continue requesting?
If I may, Lydia, through you, I know that Jeffrey and Mihai are anxious to really get their approval, and they're waiting to get on the ZBA agenda as well. So if it's something possible, I know you only meet once a month, but is it possible to meet perhaps in 2 weeks on the 21st of October?
Depends on the others. I mean, I'm happy to.
Okay, I leave it up to you then.
Not sure, I have to get a calendar.
Um, I could do that.
Mhm. I can do it.
I think I can do it.
So what's the date?
The 21st of October?
Okay.
Same time, 5 o'clock.
So I don't know, Lydia, do we need to vote to have a continuance?
It doesn't hurt.
All right, I would like to propose that we have a continuance and that we meet again on October 21st.
Is there a
Um,
second?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I vote aye. Meryl?
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Lydia.
Okay. So we will see you on October 21st. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you,
Um,
Peter, and
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah. Jeffrey, Isabel.
Okay, thanks.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you both. Okay, and the next item on the agenda is 36 East Commercial Street with a revised proposal about the replacement of windows.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that the same way I did this one. Oops.
I sent a revised thing with to pick
Yeah.
more photos and the specs for the windows that were, and more, made it a little clearer that what they were going to do.
Yes, we did receive it. Thank you.
And
I
I could,
think Lydia's trying to get it on the screen. Am I right?
Yes, I'll need a few minutes. So if you want to cover anything else or maybe,
actually read exactly what I wrote. And
Okay.
the first thing was that Joshua's last name was spelled wrong the first time. It's Kahn. I don't know what happened there. He really needs to replace his windows. He would like to replace those 12 existing windows on the first floor and only on the main part of the house. He has that other cottage in the back. And it does not at this time include the second floor, the kitchen window over the sink, or the basement windows. And at the time he does the second floor, he will be doing that window that was kind of a little bit of a eyesore that we talked about. And he's planning on doing that. But at this time, these windows are a little bit, costly. So he's starting with the first floor, and they're going to be the Anderson insert windows, and they're the replacement windows. And again, we're not going to touch any of the pediments at the top. We're just going to replace some of the trim and paint it white like what you see now. and I hopefully do a few other little repairs there. The windows are going to have the permanent exterior and interior spacer bars, so they are the simulated divided lights. And I gave you a picture this time of the inside of one of the windows, so you can see clearly the grill pattern. Unfortunately, from the outside, because the storm windows are there, the glare on the storm windows, you can't really see the it's easily, you're not going to see storm windows, which I think would be much better. And I think it's going to look really good, and it's going to be preserving the house and be more energy efficient for him. So I think that, and I did include the from Shepley, the specs for the windows. So again, it's just the first floor right now, and then we'll do the second floor and that kitchen window at after the winter.
Mhm.
Can you see the image of the house?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm. Beautiful house.
Yeah, that's a nice photo there. It will be a huge improvement once the storm windows are gone.
Mhm.
Yeah, the storm windows do, they can't see it, and I think it's going to give a nicer look to the house. Let's face it, they didn't have storm windows in the 1800s, whatever was built.
They did, but they were the
80s.
kind that would hang on the
Oh, okay,
top, and then they would take them out in
right.
the spring and summer.
Must have been
So-
cold places then. I mean, it's a beautiful house. I mean, I think it'll improve the house, and I think it's good that he's keeping it maintained, and he wants it to be preserved. So I think these are the best windows to be like the ones that are there.
Jean, I have a question. So you said earlier that he does plan to change out that kitchen window.
Yes, at the time he does the upstairs, and we're going to have to find one that fits in there that's like, it'll look like what you got. Yeah, we'll talk to you about what you think would be the most
Okay.
appropriate at the time, because it's kind of a longer shaped window. There's a picture, it's in the back too, thank goodness. You don't see it from the road.
So this, in your application, it says does not include the second floor kitchen window over the sink. But that,
And I meant the second floor or the kitchen window over the sink,
okay.
or the basement windows. I should have made that a little clearer.
Yeah, it's okay. So that would come at a different, but you're saying he does plan to do it
I
when he
think
works on the second floor.
because these windows are very, they're expensive compared to the other.
Mhm.
He's doing it in stages.
Mhm. Okay.
This is actually the rear of the house where you see that kitchen window. And I'm sure there's something that can go in there that would be more suitable than that one that someone
Oh,
said.
yeah. Mhm.
I can't figure out how, that's obviously not as in keeping with the other windows. So I don't know, someone before, he bought it with those windows in it, that window.
Mhm.
See that, you could see the inside there, so.
Mhm.
Here are the specifications. It's where's turned. Well, I mean, I'm comfortable with this.
I'm comfortable with this proposal too.
Me too.
Yeah. And it is great to see him taking care of the house and replacing the windows and using historically appropriate or historic in terms of the look windows. So shall we have a vote? I propose that we accept the proposal as is. Any second?
I think Tom's
Second.
seconding.
This is Tom, I'll second.
And shall we have a vote? I guess Meryl says aye.
Lydia, aye.
Carol, I.
Tom, I.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
So I can put the building permit and after do you send something over to them once or I'll probably see something I could give to them with the building permit?
Yes, we send a memo to the building department.
Okay, because it's an express permit, which is good, because it's windows. Well, thank you very much and have a nice night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Bye.
Lydia, now that Justin is gone, who was overseeing these permits and things?
They must have an interim building inspector. Oh, look, we've got some folks. That's the problem with Lucas joining us.
Oh, good.
Hey, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
There's also a phone number with a phone sign. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have, we
There's
don't know
no
who it is. They have to identify themselves. See if I can unmute. It's not working. There we go. Caller, would you please identify yourself for our minutes?
It's muted on mine.
I had it unmuted, but then I think they muted it again. So it's,
Oh,
let's see. There, it's
Here
unmuted.
goes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Bill Comerford.
Did you spell your last name?
Comerford.
Bill Comerford.
okay.
Did I unmute?
Yes. I have you unmuted now. I'm just going to put in your name here. Okay. Thanks for calling in.
And Bill, was there a particular item on the agenda that you wanted to address? Oh, he's muted again. Oh.
I think he's got to unmute himself, maybe?
Okay.
Am
he's
I
on.
unmuted?
Yes.
you're unmuted.
I'm sorry, this is new to me. Yeah, I guess it's called the report about the cemetery.
Okay. So that's farther down the agenda. So we'll unmute you at that point then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is 20 Briar Lane. I sent a letter to Maya, an email to Maya and Thor, basically letting them know about what the alternatives to 100% demolition would be that would shorten the term of the demolition delay, and ask them to update us about where they are in the process and their reactions to the alternate design proposals that were presented by the Cape Cod Commission. And I have not heard back from them. I told them about the meeting and invited them to join the meeting tonight, but it looks like they aren't here with us. So I guess we should go to the next agenda item. Just so the commission knows, I do plan to continue to send them at least one email a month during this period of demolition delay to just keep them informed about why we believe that preservation is important, and about various options for compromise. And I'm not sure if anybody else has any thoughts about doing anything in addition to that.
I don't think there's much we can do. I will say that I just happened to be buying coffee at Flying Fish on Monday. And there was a committee of, looks like the fire chief, the police chief, and two people wearing construction type lime reflective jackets walking around and taking a look at the building, particularly in the front where there is some proposed parking spaces. Beyond that, I don't know. It's just what I saw. So something must be going on. I don't know what's happening with the planning board or if they're even meeting at this point, but
They are not yet.
okay. So I guess everything is frozen then pretty much.
Although it sounds like they may be going ahead with getting consultations. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's all,
Okay,
just
thank you.
observation.
Yeah, appreciate it. So I guess we should go on then to the next item, which is the Form Bs and community preservation.
I just want to say one quick thing about the Briar Lane, which is, at town meeting, the Briar Lane water system was approved. So that might be one reason why they were out there as well. Extension of the town water to Briar Lane was approved. So that could be one reason they were there. I don't know.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay.
Do you
Any
want
other comments before we move on? Okay. So then Lydia, do you want to talk about the Form Bs and where we are with organizing that?
Sure. We reached 2 volunteers, one former commission member, Maria Burks, and then also Alice Acressa, a writer and historian from Wellfleet. And they both agreed to take on some Form Bs. We put them into Google Drive, and then I sent off 11 to Maria and 6 to Alice today. We have a whole lot more that we're going to divide amongst Carol, Meryl, and myself. And that's a little complicated just because, and Anne Price also, former commission member. Anne and Carol will get the printed copies, and we just have to get those to Courtney. First, we have to decide which ones go to them. So that's, I think we made some notes on that today. We can do that, probably get to that this week. So look out in your email for Form Bs. And I guess it's Tom that's going to be accepting the printed ones, the paper copies, or once they're completed, once they're proofread.
Yes, and then I'll get them to Lynn. Was that the way we wanted to do it?
I think that's what you suggested last meeting.
Yeah, so then
Yeah, I
that
thought
would
so.
be getting the ones that are printed out from Carol and from Anne. Okay. Great. And then there's another item here about scheduling an extra meeting about the Form Bs, Lydia?
Yeah, at the last meeting, we felt that when we have a lot of things to review or complicated reviews, everyone's a little bit not at their best at the end of the meeting. So we thought about scheduling extra meetings to go over the Form Bs. Why don't we play it by ear? We'll just get them out there and then see. I would suggest getting them out there first, seeing how the proofreading goes, and perhaps scheduling an extra meeting if we need to. We already have an extra meeting on the 21st, so maybe we could, we can always put it on the agenda on the 21st, and then if we don't get to it, that's okay.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Okay, so I assume we don't need to vote on any of that.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Any other comments about that from Tom or Carol? Okay.
Nope.
So then the next item on the agenda is correspondence and social media. Do you want to talk about the Stantec reply, Lydia?
Sure. Let me get to it. Good. If you want to do yours first, I'll get to that one, and then we can do a screen share.
What do you mean by yours?
The Instagram.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I am in the process of working on figuring out what the written parts of the Instagram account are going to be and trying to put some things together ahead of time so that I can put things out on a regular basis. Part of me feels like I should just get started, but another part of me wants to get organized because I'm having surgery on October 15th. And so I thought I'm just having carpal tunnel surgery, but I won't have use of my hands after that for a while. So I want to try to get as much as I can get done ahead of time. But I'm hoping it will be up at least by November. I'll keep you all posted. Thanks.
Okay, I've got it here. Okay. So this is the reply. They replied within the message that we sent. So you can see the responses in blue. Do you see the email?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So granite curbing, comment noted, granite curbing is provided. Cement surface required, not asphalt, comment noted. Cement concrete sidewalks are proposed. Optional brick decoration following the existing design of sidewalks on Main Street across from Town Hall. They say due to limited right-of-way along Main Street, we cannot incorporate this element without impacting parking for businesses on the north side. And then these were in the general comments section. They noted our comment about 2 lanes into 1 being very dangerous and needs to change. The current design has eliminated the 2-lane merge for both the eastbound and westbound directions on Route 6. A safe crosswalk is needed, comment noted. Crosswalks are being proposed at the Route 6 and Main Street intersection and across Route 6 near the Cape Cod Rail Trail terminus. Initial design, sorry? Initial design received a negative response from many in the community. Comment noted, we have shared all comments with Mass DOT. And then safety of pedestrians and cyclists is a priority. Many rely on this route to get to work, go to the pharmacy, and visit local businesses, including PJ's Mobile, Cumberland Farms Post Office, etc. Comment noted. And consider a bridge for pedestrians and cyclists. I have heard that the bridge was discussed as part of the Cape Cod Rail Trail Extension project and was ruled out due to grading and private property impacts. And finally, 2 lanes into 1, also dangerous at Marconi Beach and Route 6. Comment noted, this is outside of our project limits, but comment will be shared with DOT. So I kind of like the way that they responded. I think was helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I hope, yeah.
I can't, the pictures are covering this. Did they say they're eliminating the 2 lanes at the intersection?
Yeah, they are. They're turning it into 1 lane on each side instead of 2 lanes, so they don't have people rushing to pass each other when it
Very
goes
good.
down to 1 lane.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think they'll be turning, turning one of the lanes into a left turn lane at places like Cahoon Hollow. But yeah, thank you for your work on this, Lydia. And it was great to see them responding with such detail.
I'm just going to make a suggestion. If you have the pictures on the top of your screen covering over stuff, if you go to the little, what looks like a dash in the upper corner, that will minimize all the pictures and you can view the screen better. So
That's a great thing. Thank you.
Will I stop the share now of this document?
Yes. Shall we move on to the cemeteries report?
Yeah.
And Bill is unmuted, but maybe we should start with our part and then invite comments.
Okay.
Do you have the report?
Yes. Let me see now. I'll go to our mail. Tell me how do we find it? Oh, there's I'm just going to try and bring up the report.
Okay.
Did it come from, I believe it came from the Rickmans, isn't that right? Or was it sent to us directly by Tamara Conde?
I think it may have come from the Rickmans.
Is it the report itself? I think it came from Ryan Curley.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I've got it. So just a
Okay.
moment. Okay, do you see it?
Not yet. Oh, there
Yeah.
we go.
Yes.
Does
Um,
anyone want to read it? How long?
do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very long, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll try to go quickly. First, I would like to, so this report is from Tamara Kande, who was the preservation expert who met with a group of people at the cemeteries to look at the repairs on the stones. And she says, so it's a report of conditions at both at Duck Hill and at Pleasant Hill, Duck Creek, sorry, in Pleasant Hill cemeteries. First, I would like to thank you for inviting me to visit your cemeteries and assist you in preserving the monuments in Pleasant Hill and Duck Creek cemeteries. It's wonderful that everyone cares so much about these sacred grounds and are actively working to preserve them. The standard for working on historic gravestones is to do no harm, and all treatments must be reversible in case better techniques or materials are available in the future. Some well-meant intentions can do more damage and make the gravestones unsavable. All conservators working to preserve gravestones should be well-trained in the techniques and materials for stone, follow the Secretary of the Interior standards for working with historic artifacts, and abide by the AIC Code of Ethics. Information on proper techniques and materials can easily be found on the website for National Center for Preservation Techniques and Training, which is a division of the National Park Service. Many treatments which have been used in years past have proven to fail or worse, damage the gravestone further. Concrete puddling, setting a stone directly into wet concrete, and a technique used during the 30s and 40s, has shown to damage the gravestone. Stone will expand and shrink when the temperature and moisture changes, but concrete does not expand with it and will constrict the stone, causing a fracture. Eventually, the stone will break at ground level and fall to the ground. Concrete is not used against stone for preservation. There are time-tested techniques and approved materials for reattaching stone fragments and filling missing material. Broken stones to be bonded should be carefully cleaned and dry fitted to ensure proper fit. The area around the stone should be probed for any missing pieces which may belong to the stone. The traditional method of two-part epoxy is the common way of bonding stones that requires structural integrity. Epoxy is very strong, although it is also moisture impermeable. This has the effect of creating a moisture barrier at the repair joint. There is still a debate on the effects of epoxy on various stones. For marble and slate stones, this can cause stone degradation over time due to the inability of the moisture to wick away from the area. Field observations have shown that failures usually occur adjacent to the repair joint, which has been attributed to the strength of the epoxy being stronger than the marble. Closer observations have shown that the stone at the new break is usually degraded. Epoxy should be reserved for conditions where high shear forces are acting on the stone. Several factors such as angle of break, thickness of the stone, weight, and bonding surface area need to be considered when using epoxy. Failed adhesives, mortars, and pins require careful removal before proceeding with any new conservation treatment. To reset a stone properly, leaning stones can be made plumb by careful excavation of the soil around the stone with hand tools and the area prepared with proper soil mix to permit resetting in the proper position with good drainage. When excavating, all large stones should be removed as ice heaves can cause an underground stone to push on the gravestone. A typical tablet will have approximately 1/3 of its length buried in the ground, and above ground monuments should be set on a well-compacted foundation. Once the stone is carefully placed into the vertical position and at the proper depth, the stone is made plumb and level and aligned with adjacent markers. Backfill with a mixture of coarse sand, loam, and crushed stone, wetted and compacted well. Disturbed areas of the ground are regraded with topsoil and seeded as required. Whew, this is long.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm not sure you really want to read everything here, but was it
Yeah.
7?
Maybe I should have just read the observations.
Yeah, there's
Um,
7 pages of this. If you look
How
at the-
many more pages do we have, Lydia?
Yeah, let's see. We could look at the images and we get a sense of the problem too. And we can maybe read maybe there's, go to the end.
To the summary.
Mhm.
It's
Here's
an excellent report. It's well worth reading if people are interested. Yeah, that one shows how they actually cut out the name of the person who was buried on that repair.
What a beautiful carving, gosh.
Yeah.
So here's the last paragraph.
So the last paragraph says, in my 20 years of conservation, I have seen many attempts by untrained, unskilled volunteers wanting to preserve the gravestones in their local cemetery. And I am sure their intentions were good. However, the outcome many times leads to the use of improper materials, which leads to failure of the repairs, or worse yet, permanent damage to the stones. I have never seen such work from someone claiming to be a professional and receiving payment for said work. Volunteers are capable of performing quality work with proper training and oversight. This work on our cemeteries does not conform to any currently acceptable standards. I should add that Carol and I attended the meeting with Tamara Conde and the tour of the graveyard and the stones. And the Historical Commission did send a letter to the Cemetery Commission and the Select Board and the new town administrator to basically confirm what she's saying in the letter. But we hadn't received the letter yet by the time we wrote ours, so it was more what we had observed and our support for the idea of the town working together to remedy this situation and to hire somebody who's better vetted and better supervised.
I presented this to the Historical Society and Museum at our meeting this morning, and we will be sending a letter ourselves.
Oh, good.
In support of, certainly better repair and the whole financial, and Tom can address this better than I can really, the whole financial question of who is responsible for these repairs and how is it going to be paid for, I think is a big issue. The town owns the cemetery, but they don't seem to be taking any financial responsibility for it. That's my impression anyway, Tom. I don't know how you.
No, you said it properly. I think that's what the CPC and the town are working out. That's my understanding.
Okay, so work is going on that. That's good to know.
Yeah, Gary and Mary are putting their heads together, sending a letter to town administrator and the select board to see if we can make progress on this.
Good. Are there any other comments from the Historical Commission members? Shall we, so Bill, would you like to chime in?
Am I on mute or am I unmuted?
You're unmuted. We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just got couple questions. Number one, why was this brought up at today's meeting?
Because the Historical Commission is concerned with historic properties on Cape Cod, and we were asked to attend the meeting at the cemetery. And we had sent the letter that I referred to, and so this was a follow-up about the report that was made after the meeting that we had attended at the cemetery.
Okay, so at some point you guys all read this report or no? Prior to you going out there, I'm assuming that whoever attended the meeting read the report.
We received the report after we attended the meeting. We were at the meeting with Tamara Conde when she was going through the graveyard with us, looking at the stones that were problematic.
So, and I'm not an expert, I don't claim to be an expert, but and I don't know if any of you are, but from what she pointed out to you, were you confident with what you saw out there in this report?
The report is, Carol, you can speak for you, but I can speak for myself that the report is consistent with what we saw and what she described, and we were concerned about the condition of these stones. And the pictures depict very well what we saw.
This was quite professional, had alternate solutions to repairing some of the damage. And I could not imagine anyone more knowledgeable than she was, quite frankly. So I give a great deal of credence to this report.
Yeah, I agree.
And has anybody else that is on the commission that were there, do they conclude the same description as stated by the report?
It was just the two of us representing the
Okay.
commission at the meeting. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry. So on the third page, just under that picture, it says, and I quote, "The craftsmanship is poor, with globs of epoxy, drips, and smears, which were not cleaned off the stones after repair." And it goes on this to shine a light on different issues.
Mhm.
My question then would be, has any of you from this commission reached out to get a copy of the vendor or the contractor's actual contract to see what either you guys are experts or, more familiar than I with historic artifacts and so forth? Has anybody in this commission reached out to get a copy of this particular person's contract?
We don't really see that as our responsibility. That's our responsibility was just to weigh in about the issue.
The contract would have been made with the cemetery commission, not with us. And Dawn.
But was that ever discussed as far as, I would assume, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but by appearances, you go there and look at stuff and you're appalled. And correct me anywhere along the lines if I'm wrong, and you're appalled as to the craftsmanship and the workmanship of it. And did anybody question this particular vendor's qualifications, ability to do the work, how they were selected, or anything from this commission itself to date?
From the historical commission?
Yes.
We were not aware of this, I think, until that meeting in the cemetery, which was just about a month ago?
Right. So that's exactly my question. My question is since that time, has anybody from this commission asked about that? Because again, a lot of people aren't familiar with historic preservation, probably nowhere near the knowledge that you guys have, I would assume, and the requirements that are required and the standards that's supposed to be met and so forth. So my question again is, since this report and since this meeting, has anybody from the commission reached out to find out the qualifications of the vendor or the contractor?
I think Meryl answered that already. That's not really our role. And I think the town, anyone that is hired in the future should follow the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines and standards. So that's what will happen going forward.
Really going to
Okay, so
of the selectmen working with the cemetery commission. We're just really inputting on the fact that we're basically appalled by this. We don't have any direct ability to affect repairs in the cemetery. That's a cemetery commission, and it should be under the guidance of the select board, because after all, the town owns the cemetery. So we are commenting on this, but we are not directly involved in this.
And I appreciate that, and I understand where you're coming from. So, just for clarity, you guys can only make a recommendation, which is what you did, and you guys are appalled at what you saw,
Yes.
and you also concur based upon this report. This report only galvanized what you saw out there, and hopefully this recommendation will have some weight. I'm just concerned. At the end of the day, shouldn't a vendor like this be held accountable for full restitution then? Because these are ancient artifacts to some degree. I mean, it's an ancient burial ground, but at what point does the weight of what everybody spent here put on the vendor for not performing whatever, I haven't seen a copy of the contract yet, but whatever they did to, I guess by reading this report, destroy, artifacts of the town.
I agree with you. I think they should be held responsible, but again, that's not our responsibility. It would seem to me it's the cemetery commissioners.
Right, but what I'm saying is that just like we just discussed a minute ago, was that it's only a suggestion. So what I'm asking is, would this commission also suggest full restitution? In other words, by reading this report and seeing the pictures, I'm appalled, number one. And number two, it says in the report that certain things can't be fixed again because of either materials used and structural integrity and so forth. So if another expert, even if, I don't want to say her name wrong, Tom Mara comes back and says, okay, it's going to cost hypothetically $125,000 just to get these things back to where they should be. My question then is, would this commission support that?
Can I make a suggestion? Because I think we're getting way off track here. The one thing I think as a community, we could all look at the contract and see what's involved there. And if there's any, my sense is it's probably a very simple contract. I hope there is one. And I think the Community Preservation Committee as a whole, and then the town meeting approved funds for the Cemetery Commission in general. So in a way, any recommendation we have would probably go to the Community Preservation Committee.
Could I add something?
Tom is gone too. That's too bad.
Tom's gone? Oh, that's right. He was only able to be here for the first hour of the meeting. Yeah. Could I add something? I just want to thank you for your interest and your concern, Bill, and to recommend that you too could write a letter, to the Cemetery Commission, to the Select Board, to the new town administrator, and let them know of your concerns. The good news is that they are hearing from the Historical Commission, the Historical Society, the Community Preservation Group, the Select Board. So hopefully the town is going to work together on this entire issue, and everybody's aware, I think, that the work is substandard and that there needs to be a new system and, maybe legal action. I don't know.
Well, I guess, and I appreciate that. I guess the question is that if it happened here, where else could it potentially may have happened? And when do you, if you have the opportunity to stop it, then maybe that's an option. But at the same time, if the town paid for something that they didn't receive, and besides that encountered potential, this is hypothetical, damage to something, then that person, in my opinion, or company or whatever entity they are, should be held accountable, as opposed to saying, okay, moving forward.
I hear you.
Then,
I hear you. And I think it'd be great if you wrote to people in the town about it, but we have a long meeting and a number of items to consider, and I don't think we can spend longer on this. We've done our due diligence about the letter and about presenting the report, but I encourage you to write letters about your concerns because they're legitimate.
well,
And
and
we're not
listen,
the
I
ones
appreciate.
that can remedy this. We can't remedy this. We don't have the right to look at the contracts to ask for restitution. That has to come, I believe, from the Select Board and the Cemetery Commission.
So that's my point. My point is that isn't extra set of eyes more valuable than less? In other words, hypothetically, if this thing came in front of you guys,
I'm
as
sorry,
part of
Bill, we can't consider hypotheticals, and we really need to move on with our meeting. But I do encourage you to write to the powers that be about this. Again, we've done what we can do about it. But
all right, thank you very
again
much for thank you very much for your time.
Okay, appreciate it. I hope that's okay with the rest of you, but I just feel like this could go on for a very long time. And
We can't say any more than we did.
okay, thanks. Now, there's Mass Historical Commission grants is the next item under social media correspondence.
Yeah, I would, those were emailed to us by Christopher Skelly, who's at the Mass Historical Commission. And I would just urge everyone to read the guidelines carefully and see if you think it's a grant could be something you'd like to pursue.
Okay.
I've passed it on to the Historical Society. We did apply for this last year and found out that we were among hundreds of people, hundreds of organizations that applied for a very small amount of money. We didn't get anything from it. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll do it again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we no longer have a quorum. Oh, no, Lucas is here. Yay, we have a quorum. So we can vote on the minutes, which is the next item.
Good.
I don't have the minutes from I wasn't at the last meeting.
Yeah,
So
I haven't seen, did you send the minutes out ahead of time, Lydia? I haven't seen them.
Who did the minutes for the last meeting?
You did.
Okay.
I haven't seen them.
Boy, that wind is really blowing. I'm amazed that we haven't lost power. I was in a cultural council meeting where we lost power in the middle of the meeting. Are you losing power, Carol?
It started blinking up here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Really?
how longer this is going to be.
Okay, here's the attached minutes. Let me get them on the screen just a minute. September 24th.
That's the special meeting. That's mine.
Whoops.
Which we have to approve too, so.
All right, we'll keep these up then. Give me a second. All right, Carol, do you want to read these?
Okay. Let's see.
Unless everyone's had a chance already.
I sent them out earlier. Did everybody get a chance to read this?
Yes, I did read these.
Lucas?
I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Okay. Meeting was called to order at 5:01. The commission discussed a proposed letter expressing.
Wait. I'm not sure you need to read them. Oh, can Luke vote on them if he wasn't at the meeting?
No.
Well, that's a good question.
It would have to be
No, I have no idea what happened at the meeting.
May not be able to vote.
We'll have to wait on those till next month.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay. No problem. Let's see. I'm gonna stop share and then see if I can find the ones.
But then Carol wasn't at the meeting that you took the notes for, so we don't have a quorum to vote on that either.
All right, we'll do them at the next time.
Okay.
At the end, we could do them at our October 21st meeting, but let's
Okay.
make sure people read them.
And we don't have Tom here to do the treasury report, so that's out.
Yeah,
I
it's
assume.
like we can adjourn.
Okay. We don't want to talk about future concerns? Might as well not. We'll be meeting in 2 weeks. We can talk about concerns then, before the power goes out. Is that okay with everybody, or does anybody have anything they need to say?
I would just say if you have a future concern, you can always email it to the chairs and get it on the agenda.
That sounds-
wellfleethistoricalcommission@gmail.com.
Okay, great. Oh, good to see you all. I hope you maintain your power all evening long.
Good luck with your surgery, Meryl.
Oh, thank you very much.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right. I will have had it by the time I see you
Yeah.
next. Yeah. I'm
Very
hoping
good.
it's going to be very minor.
I hope so.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, take good care.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.